I'm Corbett Wall with DV Auction, here with your feeder flash for Tuesday, January the 17th, brought to you in part by VitaFirm. VitaFirm provides nutritional supplements purposefully crafted to maximize energy and forage utilization at every stage of your cattle's production by making sure your herd is receiving optimal digestive health and nutrition. For more information, go to vitafirm.com. Fats and feeders hit a snag, and the market is finally either taking a break or backing off of the rally that we've been seeing here for the last several weeks. But your weighted average in your 5-area feeding region negotiated sales was down. It was down the previous week, but just a few pennies coming off, and this week it was down almost $1 on your weighted average. So that was a significant loss. We had more trade on Friday in the southern plains than what we had previously thought, all $1 lower, and it took a toll on your weighted average. We've lost the rally in your fat cattle market, even though we had the hammer on them. They were wanting to ramp up slaughter quite a bit after the holiday interruptions. They were short bought. They hadn't bought many cattle for the 2 to 4 week delivery for several weeks. We absolutely had them by the short hairs and did not take advantage of it. And so now they've got things going in their way, and all the momentum's going to swing in their way, and we're probably going to lose $1 or $2 here for a while. And we never really reached 160. We had 34 head sell at 160 last week. That was it. We just can't seem to quite reach the 160 level. Your feeder cattle market, same way. Last week's friendly to the grain market supply and demand reports put a shot in the arm on your corn and beans also. And we see now that cost of gains are not going to retreat anytime soon. We have very little forage anywhere to speak of. Any kind of hay to grind or to feed is in short supply. So your feeder cattle have been trying to back off here for the last several sessions. That started about middle of the week last week after huge runs in some of your big high volume sales, and we just had sheer numbers of cattle moving and the supplies of feeder cattle, even though we're in short supply of them. Last week there was a lot of them changing hands and a lot of them moving, and so it was too much, and the supply of them backed off. Now, starting out this week, Oklahoma City called their feeder cattle steady to 3 higher. This is one occasion that I don't think Oklahoma City is setting the pace for the rest of the country. We've seen a premium paid in the southern plains. We're not seeing the quotes that we saw last week in the northern plains early this week or late last week. Didn't see any other markets that were quoted higher really on feeder cattle. And for the most part, a week ago and before that, most of our light 8-weight steers or loads of 800-pound steers were bringing in the 180s. Now they're all bringing in the 170s. I'm not knocking federal state market reporting at Oklahoma National Stockyards. The few sales that Federal State Market News Service reports in Oklahoma, they do a good job of. That may just have been where they were at there in Oklahoma City. But our weighted average, our real-time index, and our CME cash feeder cattle indexes are lower because as you go up through the middle 12 states, your 800-pound steers on the average are just not bringing as much. But southern plains, like I said, sold mostly at 156 last week. That was a full $1 lower. And your 8-weight, 9-weight steers, what few of them there are, not many old crop feeders left. They're mostly bigger calves, which is hurting the market on them also. Your 6 and 7 weights are all calves. They might be short yearlings, and really they may be have a yearling look to them and be as good as yearlings if they have been a long time weaned and turned back out. But what would you have turned them back out on? There's really nowhere to turn anything out. All the wheat in the southern plains is just dirt. We do have some grazing in the southeast, There is some ryegrass there. Going to be a lot of grazing way out west because of all the rain that they've had. They've got some hay in the northern plains, and of course the Midwest has always got stock fields and things like that to turn cattle out on. But the bulk of your plains have been extremely dry and just very few places to turn cattle out on. But stockers are still in high demand, especially hard stockers, long-time wean stockers, lightweights. Your 3 all the way up to 5.5 weight cattle, or some 6 weight cattle that have a stocker condition on them, are in very high demand, and freight is turning out to be not as big of a factor as high in demand as they are, and as the price in them goes higher. I told you last week about a producer I knew in the southern plains that actually had some wheat, was buying calves in the Midwest, fancy calves, strings of them, a lot better quality than he could get locally. He was buying them in the Midwest, putting wheels under them, and still liking the price that he had in them delivered to his place in the southern plains. Also, more recently found out about a producer I know that's way out west in California area, putting in orders and buying cattle in Montana and putting wheels under them and liking where he's getting them delivered at, and loving the quality that he's getting. So, you know, the freight is not as big a deal. You know, the freight is what kills you on things that don't cost a lot. You know, hauling water, there's no future in that. Hauling hay, that doesn't make a lot of sense. It's starting to make more sense as hay is getting nosebleed high, but hauling $25 or $30 round bales around does not make any sense. But as your calves are getting worth more, they're more valuable, they're more demanded, the freight does not seem to be quite as big a deal, and as fats get up there close to 160, it's not as big a deal for your northern plains packers to go down into the southern plains and pick some up to $3 cheaper and bring them up to their plants up north. But had a free day. The board was not open because of MLK Day, so that's a rare opportunity to have some Monday business there with no board dragging you down. And I would bet that the board will probably open the week lower with lower weighted averages in your 5-area feeding region and a tougher feeder market for most places. But your weighted average on last week's negotiated fed cattle trade in your 5-area feeding region on a direct basis, 62,700 head, which is still fairly light, but it's bigger than what we thought. Like I said, there was a lot more cattle sold in the southern plains than what we had thought late last week. That 62.7 compares to 56,200 the holiday week before, and just 50,400 the same week a year ago. Live sales of steers and heifers last week in your 5-area feeding region ranged from 154 to 160. I just told you earlier that only 34 head in your 5-area feeding region brought 160 direct basis. The 154, there was only 197 of those. Most of the cattle bring from 156 to 158. More 157 and 8 in the northern plains, and all 156 in the southern plains. But you know, that was kind of unevenly steady on your price range there. But your weighted average was lower, 96 cents lower, almost $1 lower, 156.78. And now our latest traded Friday's close on your February live cattle are at a premium to what our 5-area feeding region weighted average is on live steers. Dressed steers and heifers range from 248 to 250, 275. There was about 300 head at the 248, nothing between there and 250. So that 248 is kind of an outlier, mostly 250 to 250, 275. The high end of that was not nearly as high as what we'd seen the previous week, because we'd seen some cattle turned in way up at 256, which was an outside deal. But your weighted average on dressed steers, almost $1 lower, just like your live steers, but 94 cents lower, and your weighted average on dressed steers at 251.11. Now nationwide we sold 78,200 head negotiated, and that's light. But the thing that scares me is 23,000 of those, or more than 29%, sold for the 15 to 30 day delivery. So just as we're losing our hold on the market, our leverage on the market, now they're buying more cattle for the 2 to 4 week delivery to set us up to continue to work away on our market position. But the 78,200 pure negotiated compared to 46,300 negotiated grid, which has very little negotiation, 21,400 forward contracts, and Formula Sweetheart non-competitive deals, 286,300 head. Box beef cutout values were mixed to open the week on Monday. Your choice cuts were up 81 cents at 277.43. Selects down 34 at 256.55. Your slaughter, estimated slaughter on Monday, better than what we feared, 125,000. That's a typical Monday, even though it was MLK Day. Did not pull back on that on what your estimations were. Talk about what else is going on. Beaver County Stockyards having their regular Tuesday sale here today on DV Auction. You can view and bid there. 3,500 head. Talked to Jeff Slatton, expecting another good sale. Said there'd be about 1,000 big yearling feeders in there, selling mostly in load lots like they typically get every week. About 1,000 head of lighter weight, hard, short yearling, that either two-way. You could stocker them if you had a place to go with them, or put them into the feedlot. Said the balance would be mostly smaller groups of lightweight stocker calves, and he expected 200, 250 weigh-up cows there too at Beaver County Stockyard. So if you're interested in that, get on to dvauction.com, view and bid that sale. Talk about your feeder cattle market. Your real-time index on DV Auction late in the day on Monday set at 178.67, down 43 cents. That's based on an 800-pound cash auction steer up through your middle 12 states, down 43 cents from the end of last week. So your market's lower, even though Oklahoma City had a higher quote on feeders. But going to be hitting the road again on Tuesday here, going out down to Alabama on Wednesday. Going to be going to Demopolis, Alabama, to Elite Livestock Sales New Year's kickoff sale. It's going to be at the Cedars in Demopolis, Alabama. If you're in that area, you know what that means. That's a gathering center there. But you wonder, what's Elite Livestock Sales? Well, it's a video auction company. It is basically, or it absolutely is, your Montgomery Stockyards team continuing on with video sales. They're going to do that with help from DV Auction. That's what they really like to do anyway, was have their video sales periodically, more so in the spring and the summertime, but coming off those ryegrass pastures and things like that, selling the yearlings, adding value to the local cattle right there. It was getting to the point where Montgomery Stockyards was basically just customer service, selling odd calves and pound cows, and then when it got non-feasible to do that at that facility any longer, they decided to go on with their video sales, now calling them Elite Livestock Sales. They're going to be having a New Year's kickoff meeting there at Demopolis, Alabama on Wednesday. I got several speakers, including me. I'm going to be there giving a presentation. They are going to have the regularly scheduled video auction. They've got 24 loads of Alabama and Georgia feeders and weaned calves to sell there. It's got the same crew that you've always trusted from Montgomery Stockyards: Jerry Etheridge, Daryl Stokes, Chuck Bradley, Wesley Grantham, the whole crew there. They've got more, but you can trust those guys, and they are going to be making a big push to supply the Southeast with video auction coverage, and they're going to be able to help you guys with it. They know the buyers in the Midwest and in the Southern Plains, also in the feedlots. They can get your local cattle marketed that you have added value to and turned into yearlings. So you're going to start hearing a lot more about Elite Livestock Sales. Talk about your big sales on Monday. Oklahoma City, Oklahoma National Stockyards, 14,600 head. Another big run for them. Not quite as big as the same sale a year ago, but still very impressive with smaller numbers available. But feeders steady to $3 higher there, and I think that's just kind of concentrated there in Oklahoma City. They did sell some 800-pound light 8-weight steers over 180. Didn't see that a lot of places. Your calves were unevenly steady for the most part, except for your attractive feeding calves weighing over 500 pounds, and they were $6 to $8 higher. I can see why they called them that. National Livestock Commission sold 56 head of steer calves, weighed 657 at 195.50. That's very impressive. Joplin Regional Stockyards sold 11,400 head. They underestimated. We're only thinking they were going to have 10,000. Getting a lot of cattle in there, a lot of long strings in there, a lot of commodity cattle in there, had some fancier cattle in there too. That 11,400 was nearly 2 times as many as they had the same sale a year ago. Market was good. Steers were $2 to $4 lower, and that's consistent across the rest of the country. Heifers were steady to $2 higher. Tells me they still want the cattle. They're just getting more conscious of the price, more cautious on what they're giving for them. Stick-out sale in Joplin Regional Stockyards was 117 steers, weighed 711 pounds, bring 187 and a quarter. Very impressive there. Zoetta's stick-out sale of the day was Ogallala Livestock Auction. You say, whoa, they have their sale on Thursday. They had a rare Monday special in Ogallala, had 4,800 head there, had some of the best consignments, the highest quality, most uniform, bigger consignments that they had, and you saw the prices kind of reflect that. Look at this automated market report from Cattle Market Central. You get your best tested weights, 532 head of 4-weight steer calves in Ogallala, average 466 pounds, weighted average price $241.29. 867 head of the 5-weight steer calves, average $545, with a weighted average price on all of them, nearly 900 of them, of $236.13, people. How about 727 head of 6-weight steer calves in Ogallala? Weighted average price on all of them, $208 and a quarter. Look at your heifers. Best tested weights, 587 head of your 4-weight heifer calves, average 464. Weighted average price on all those 4-weight heifers, $216.49, be higher than most places steers. 950 head of 5-weight heifer calves, average 553, weighted average price on them $205.32. Give you some individual quotes around. How about Bighorn Basin Livestock Auction in Worland, Wyoming? 63 steer calves, weighed 612 pounds, bring $215 and a quarter. Wow. How about Sioux Falls Regional Livestock in Worthing, South Dakota? They can sell the bigger cattle. 55 steers, weight 819 pounds at $182.50. A week ago at this time, we were talking about outstanding individual quotes bringing over 190. Now, they won't do that anymore, guys. But the best quote that I saw anywhere, most impressive, on Monday, in your Mackerson, no BS, top quote for the day, indeed come out of the special at Ogallala Livestock Auction. It was 126 steers, weighed 603 at $243.50. And that's your feeder flash for Tuesday.